Let's talk today about increasing our confidence. Because when we feel better about ourselves, we show up better. We show up better for ourselves. We show up better for others. We show up better in our relationships. We're willing to go out and experiment and experience and try different things and contribute more to the world in really positive ways because we feel good about ourselves and who we are. And so we just handle life in a different way. So much of our life is a projection of what's going on the inside. So if we can be projecting a strong, solid, secure sense of self in everything that we do and in whoever that we encounter, we're just going to be contributing something different to the world, something better to the world, and we're going to be feeling better ourselves. So I want to talk today about some really simple things that you can do to increase your confidence. They're going to feel so simple, so straightforward, and you're going to be like, really, that's going to make a difference? And I'm going to tell you that yes, if you practice these things on a regular basis and just sort of integrate them as habits into your everyday life, you will notice that these just really simple little tricks, or I guess little strategies, not really tricks, they're more like just little strategies, little intentions, intentional ways you are showing up in the world. It is going to make a difference in how you feel about yourself in a deeper way, not just in a surface way. Some of these are surface things, but it is going to impact how you feel about yourself in a deeper way. I'm excited to share them with you. I hope that you love them and use them and reap all of the benefits from them. If you're new here, welcome to our incredible little corner on the internet. Take a second, introduce yourself in the comment section below. If you're back again, it's always good to have you. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. The button's about right down there. And if you like the video, if you could like it, that would be great. That just gets it out in front of more people, these tools and strategies and ways to be living and feeling and showing up better in our lives. Either way, my name is Kristina, and I am a registered clinical therapist, a researcher, a coach, and the creator of my incredible membership community, the Shift Society, that so many of you are now a part of. You can get more information about the Shift Society in the description below. This is where we're taking this work to a deeper level. You're being supported the whole way through. And yeah, you can get more information there. I help heart-centered humans break through the crap that is holding them back so that they can like themselves and their lives more every day. And I want to jump right into these ones because they are simple. They're ones that you can start doing right away, and you can probably even start doing a lot of them today. So these 5 annoyingly simple things that are going to increase your confidence. The first one is to learn how to say thank you. And this is going to seem maybe kind of silly to some of you, but to those of you who, when someone does something nice for you, or when someone pays you a compliment, or someone just points out something really good about you, you kind of brush it off. Oh, no, it wasn't a big deal. Or, oh, you shouldn't have done that. Or, oh, don't go out of your way for me. Or, oh, it was just a fluke or just an accident. We don't let ourselves receive those compliments. And so when we kind of brush it off and discount it, we are both denying the other person the satisfaction of being able to have their gift of a compliment to us, have it received graciously. So we're denying them that because it doesn't feel good for them when we're like, oh, no, it wasn't a big deal, right? Then they don't get to feel good about having given you a compliment. And we also deny ourselves the opportunity to just receive that and absorb that and accept that and take it in. So learning how to just say thank you. If someone's like, I really appreciate the effort you put into that, being able to say thank you. It means a lot. Thanks for noticing that. Or if someone is like, hey, you did a really great job and I wanted to recognize you for that, say thanks for that. Right? If someone does something for you, they go out of their way for you, instead of saying you shouldn't have done that, saying thanks for doing that. That really means a lot. So just learning how to receive with gratitude. And it also shows us on this sort of subconscious level that we are worth people going out of their way for. We are worth people taking the extra effort to noticing things about us for. We are worth that. So it has this very subtle, but often very profound impact on our sense of self, on our self-confidence. Because we're just letting ourselves receive that, even if it makes you uncomfortable. And if you're like, oh, it makes me so uncomfortable when people say nice things about me, I want you to really just get curious about that. Why does it make you so uncomfortable when someone recognizes you or appreciates you or compliments you or just takes the time to do something for you, why does that make you so uncomfortable? Is it because you think you don't deserve it? Because you're not good enough for it? Because you're not worthy of it? So let's start changing that narrative by just learning how to show gratitude and appreciation for their appreciation by simply saying thank you. The next annoyingly simple thing that is going to increase your confidence is looking people in the eye. Not in like a creepy way where you're just staring at people in the eye all the time, but like when you're out and about, when you are going about your business on a daily basis, look at people, smile at them, say hello. When you're at the lineup at the grocery store, look at the teller, say hello, ask them how their day is going. Even if you're not an extrovert, and I know this can be a little bit more challenging for people who aren't necessarily as extroverted, maybe you don't want to strike up a conversation with a stranger, but like look at them and smile and look people in the eye and acknowledge them. And at first, some people, especially live in a community or city where that's not as common, some people might not respond to it. And I remember this when, not when, I still do. When I go out for runs, not when I used to, but I go out for runs, whenever I pass someone, I do my best to make eye contact with them and smile and say hello. Some people avoid my eye contact and they, just keep doing what they're doing and they keep going in a straight line, almost even pretending they didn't see me. Some people are a little bit kind of taken aback and surprised that, a stranger would be saying hello. But a lot of people, especially if it's a runner going in the opposite direction, we kind of have this like runner's bond. Well, they'll like wave and like nod their head and smile as well. And so we get to have these little micro connections with other human beings that makes us feel more connected to humanity, more connected to life, more connected to our existence through having these micro connections with others, because we are relational beings. And when we feel, even if it's not like these really deep relationships with everyone you pass on the street, but when we feel connected to our communities, connected to other human beings that we come across, it makes us feel better about ourselves. It makes us feel more significant. It makes us feel more worthy, more valuable, more valued, even just these little micro connections. So let yourself be seen. Let yourself see others. And notice what that feels like. It might feel, for some of you who are really not used to it, might feel really uncomfortable at first, but start small and even just, maybe if you're passing someone, just look at them for a second and give a little smile and then, convert your eyes immediately and scurry on your way. But practice looking at other human beings and acknowledging them. The next thing, this very simple thing that is going to increase your confidence, is to approach people like they like you. So many of us, we're like, we go into social situations, especially if we struggle with some social anxiety or with just like some lower self-esteem. We go into social situations, even if it's just with a couple people or if it's with even a big group or whatever that is, even if it's sometimes like going into a public place like a restaurant or a store or whatever that is, and we're going to have some kind of interaction with another human being. If you can show up as if people like you, it's going to make a difference. Because so often we go in and we're like, what if I say something weird? Or what if no one likes me? Or what if I'm like awkward? Or what if I don't connect with anyone? Or, whatever that is. And we kind of create all these stories for ourselves, assuming that people are not going to like us in some way, or they're going to be put off by us, or they're not going to notice us, or they're not going to care about us, whatever that is. And we just sort of make these assumptions when we go into social situations, no matter what that is, instead of what would it be like if you were like, you know what? I have some interesting things about me. I have some great qualities about me. Recently, just as an aside, in the Shift Society, in my membership community that I talked about before, we just did a group check-in where I asked the group members, what's one thing you love about yourself? And it was amazing to see the responses that people wrote in there and how they were really just able to check in with themselves and be like, you know what, there are some things that I really like about myself that I'm really proud of myself for, that kind of make me who I am. And make me feel good about who I am, and taking the time to do that. What are some of the things you really like and appreciate about yourself? And getting yourself into that headspace when you're going into social situations, when you're going just even out in your community, to be like, what would it be like if I showed up as if I am an interesting person that other people find interesting? What would it be like if I showed up as if other people were thinking good things about me? That they liked me, that they at least had neutral thoughts about me and weren't thinking terrible things about me all the time, which some of us get stuck in those traps. What would it be like if I just showed up like people were going to like me, or at least think I was just fine? So practicing that one, getting yourself into that headspace, it's really interesting. My sister-in-law, who is a delightful, delightful human being, she is one of the most confident, uninhibited people that I've ever met. And she just goes through life. She doesn't have any social, hang-ups. She never feels like socially awkward. She never questions herself or doubts herself. She just kind of has this worldview that like, we're all just people, right? Strangers are oftentimes just friends you haven't met yet. We're all just human beings going through this world. We all want the same things. We all want to love, and we want to love, we want to be loved, we want to feel connection, we want to feel belonging, we want to feel meaning, we want to feel purpose, we want to feel worthy. So if I just go through life assuming that other people want the same things as me, then there's nothing to be intimidated by. There's nothing to be inhibited by. So she will, if she's ever kind of alone and going into, a cafe or a restaurant, she sometimes likes to go out and eat alone. And if she sees somebody else there that's alone, she will walk up to them and she'll say something like, "Hey, I'm just wondering if you're eating alone by choice or if you'd like some company." And some people are like, "Yeah, I'm just having some quiet time to myself. I want to eat alone." She's like, "No problem. Absolutely. Enjoy." And some people are like, "You know what? I'd actually like a little bit of company." And either way, she's good. She's not offended. She's not inhibited. She has no problem asking people. She has no problem with hearing no. And for the people that do say yes, she ends up sitting down and having a great conversation. She also has incredible social skills, but I think that also comes because she's so uninhibited and she's just interested in other human beings. So she has no agenda other than just wanting to get to know people, connect with people, find common points of interest, and then, building on that, she just goes through life assuming that people are going to like her. And even if people aren't interested in engaging with her, she doesn't take it personally and think that it's because there's something wrong with her. I love being around her because I learned so much from observing my sister-in-law. Now, I don't see her as often because she lives in another province, so I only get to see her a few times a year, but I love being around her. I love observing her. She has this way of just making everyone around her feel comfortable, and I think that's because she feels so comfortable with who she is. So showing up in life as if people just like you and receiving if they receive that and not being offended if they don't. The next simple thing that is going to increase your confidence is doing something that makes you a little bit scared or uncomfortable. So many of us don't do things that make us scared or uncomfortable because we're like, I don't want to feel scared or uncomfortable, because who wants to feel that? However, if we are doing things on a regular basis that push us, that stretch us, we get to show ourselves that we can handle it. We get to show ourselves that we are a lot more competent and capable, resilient, and resourceful than we may have thought. If you want to grow, you have to be willing to stretch. Now, the primitive part of your brain that seeks comfort and safety all the time is going to try to stop you from it at all costs. I'm going to try and talk you out of it. But if you can override that sort of survival instinct to say, you know what? No, I am going to see how I can stretch myself in this way. I'm going to try this thing. I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to take this risk. Obviously, a calculated risk, not something, walking a tightrope between two 10-story buildings when you've never walked a tightrope before. That's probably not your best choice. Not the kind of risk I'm talking about, but something that is going to stretch you a little bit. And again, I say stretch a little bit, because if you stretch yourself too far, if you push yourself too hard, your brain is going to go into total panic and is going to try to get out of there as quickly as possible. And then you're going to be like, nope, never doing that again. That was way too intense, way too scary, way too overwhelming. But if you take a calculated risk, if you take just a bit of a risk, put yourself out there, just one step that's going to stretch you, it helps to increase your confidence, because you learn that you can be uncomfortable and be okay. That you can try new things and put yourself out there and catch instead of kick yourself if you fall. We cannot grow if we're not willing to stretch. So do something and let me know what's one step you're going to take in a direction of something that's going to make you a little bit uncomfortable, that's going to stretch you. Let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear, what's your commitment? They're like, you know what, this is important to me. I've been avoiding it, but I'm going to take the first step in that direction. And I'm going to do something that scares me a little bit. And I'm going to see how I stretch as I do. The next annoyingly simple thing is to start talking back to the gremlins that try to tell you that you're not good enough. So many of us have these inner dialogues, these inner narratives going a lot of the time. You might not even be aware of it until you start to pay attention to it. And this is a lot of the work that we do in the Shift Society as well, is starting to pay attention to our inner dialogue, our self-criticism, our self-shaming, our self-blaming, our self just annihilating so often without even realizing it. And it can be subtle. And unless you know how to look out for it and how to do it, it can be happening all the time. And you don't even really realize it. It's happening on this sort of semi-conscious level. But for some of you, you might actually be aware and you might start to catch it when you put yourself down, when you talk yourself out of things, when you blame yourself for stuff that wasn't even necessarily your fault, when you shame yourself for things that were out of your control. Difference here, just as an aside, between shaming yourself and taking responsibility for a mistake or for a wrongdoing. But again, beating yourself up about it is not going to be helpful, but taking a step back and saying, okay, that wasn't my finest moment. How do I want to do this differently? How do I want to make this right? How do I want to make amends, or whatever that is? That is going to be totally different than being like, I'm such a terrible person. I'm such a loser. I'm such a failure. Can't do anything right. Do you see the difference? One of them is self-shaming. The other one is personal accountability. There is a big difference. So many of us have these inner dialogues, these inner gremlins, this whole committee, I say, the committee of a-holes that likes to kind of call us down and tell us all kinds of garbage that leaves us feeling terrible and terrible about ourselves. So learning how to talk back to that. When your brain tries to convince you why you're not good enough, worthy enough, lovable enough, successful enough, whatever that is, how do you want to be thinking in more responsible ways? It's not positive thinking, it's responsible thinking, talking back to those gremlins and being able to tell yourself what's more accurate. I'm not a total loser because someone didn't invite me to a social event. Maybe they forgot, or I'm not as good of friends with them, and so it makes sense that they wouldn't invite me, or they were inviting sort of a certain group of friends and I'm not in that particular circle, and that's okay, right? So it's learning to think more responsibly. Or maybe they're upset with me about something and there's some unresolved issues that we need to look at, that we need to deal with it. Maybe that's the case. And so if I can take a step back and not just let those negative thoughts take over, then I can actually think about it more clearly, look for some alternate explanations, look for some alternate truths, and then work myself through it. And knowing that your initial immediate thoughts that are making you feel terrible are not necessarily truths. Just because you're thinking it, it doesn't mean that it's real. So taking a step back with that, learning how to not believe everything you think and how to think more responsibly. Again, I teach you how to do this in the Shift Society. But you can also start practicing paying attention to your thoughts and learning how to not get so caught up in your thoughts with my 10-minute guided mindfulness exercise. It's free. You can get the link. It's in the description below. And it's a 10-minute guided audio that you get when you click the link below. And it's going to teach you, it's going to train your brain to not get so caught up in believing everything that you think. It's an important one. So I encourage you to grab that right now or right after the video. So, simple things that increase our confidence. Write down one or two that really resonated with you and start practicing them. Start integrating them. Let me know which ones you liked the best or which one you liked the best, that you're like, this seems doable. I'm going to start doing this and see how it goes. And then once you've integrated one of them, come back, pick another one, start integrating that one until you start making more of these changes, and then notice how it feels and how you feel about yourself. Also get on the wait list for the Shift Society so that when we open up registration again, you can get in there and do this deeper life transforming work and be coached by me and supported the whole way through. Get more information about the Shift Society in the description below. Would love to hear from you. What did you take away from this? What connected with you? And how are you doing? Always good to have you here. Oh, subscribe to the channel. Like the video if you got something out of it. That'd be super helpful. And yeah, until next time, take good care.